Hi, welcome here. My name is Aline and I have been doing podcasts for over 2 years now. I just wanted to reborn as a podcaster, I would say. And I wanted to talk about creativity. I have realized that over the past 2 years, what I really like to do is talking about art. Clearly also talking about feelings and emotions and my personal stuff, but only because that's kind of creative. I wanted to share with you who am I, what is the new vision and the new idea for this podcast. And by the end of this episode, maybe you can also let me know which of these changes you approve. For those who don't know me, I am an artist. I was born in Brazil, and long story short, my parents are both working as entrepreneur, they work with informatics and stuff like numbers, and they also were very much and pretty much creatives and artists themselves. Somehow my dad, he is presenting stuff, he's doing long talks in TED Talks and palestras and Vorträge. He is also always having a drum at my home, in my basement. So we build a basement. It's not that common to have a basement in Brazil, but we built one because he wanted to play drums. My mom was singing, she's a painter, so they ended up not really doing anything creatively for their career, but they were creatives. And there was no theater in my school. There was no one inspiring me to be an artist. There was no teacher or director telling me you can make art. You don't get educated to be an artist. So that was pretty much my life from Mondays to Saturdays, the whole day in my school. And I wanted to be a doctor or I wanted to be a teacher. I was lost. I was inspired by philosophy and history. And one time I ended up deciding that I wanted to make theater for a living, go out and be an actress, because doing one theater lesson has changed my life. I also had a friend, and I also ended up having an English teacher, which was also an actress. And then slowly but surely, I was seeing that there was possible. There was another way, and it was much more fun. I basically felt alive. I reconnected with myself. I was really shy and introvert, and I was not expressing myself at all. And those are stuff that I like to do, so theater made me feel alive. And I decided that I want to be alive. Actually, if you want to be an actress, you go in a university in Brazil, and then you make a normal test, but you also make scenes and performances, and you take some classes with them, and they see and they judge you and they select you or not, because there's not so many places. And I ended up doing some of them. I did 3 ones, but one of them, and I did them all in São Paulo, which was a big city where you should go if you want to make theater technically, and I got disclassified. I forgot the test. I was not even there. So basically this was my experience, and I had the worst time of my life and the best time of my life. I met my husband in this time. I did singing lessons, theater lessons, I did piano lessons, I studied French, and then I studied German, and then half a year later I applied again in another university in Brasília, the capital of Brazil, and I made it. So I moved there and I studied theater. This is the long story short. I know it was already a long story, but there is so much to uncover, and if you want me to talk more about how does it all started, please let me know. Then I can also make an episode about this early ages, what it was like to study theater, and what I do think about this course. I'm also gonna make another episode, which is your questions, which is a Q&A of my actress life. Why am I in Berlin? How it is to be an actress here? How do I get jobs and casting? How does it all work? So I'm gonna make an episode about this as well. But for now, I just wanted to start this new era and just give you spoilers of what we can talk for the next episode. What is the next vision, as I told. And I like to talk about creativity and art. And this is the only thing that will never change. If I'm in Brazil, if I'm here, if I'm somewhere else, if I am working with theater or I'm making music, and there is always creativity in my life, and this is when I still feel I can talk about this no stop, and probably this is gonna be useful for someone. And it seems so obvious because look at this, this is who I am, this is what I'm doing, but life has no script. This episode right now I am doing without a script. And I feel like we can plan, we can have a deep sense of purpose sometimes in our life, and sometimes we don't. Sometimes big changes happen and I just lost track. And I was just experimenting and following my enthusiasm, and it was fun and it was great as well. But now I'm in another moment in my life and needing another direction. And it seems very obvious, and I was like, why did I started this before? Why this was not the first episode already? Why I was not starting this like this? It feels like a brand new beginning, and it feels like it is obvious. Like I should be doing this. This is what I should be doing. I'm an actress and artist. I have already my YouTube videos documenting my creative process and life. So why I was not talking about this more in my episodes? And I feel like because I needed my time to realize so much that was going on in my life, I needed to sit down and dream and journal and make conversations outside of the internet and grow. And I took my time. I know it seems obvious, and I think the same. It feels like I have entered the moment in this project that I was supposed to be. And I was just like, whoa, it took a time, but I'm here now. So what is changing? Number one, if you know me already and if you're here, I have been struggling a lot with my languages. I am a Brazilian, so I speak Portuguese. Then I also know many other languages because I love to study them. It doesn't mean that I'm great at them or use them for anything, but I study Spanish in school. I also study Italian in my university and French. And then I ended up also studying German and a lot, and I love languages. And when I moved to Germany, I already had a C1 and I was teaching. I like teaching. I like integrating myself, learning new things as I'm teaching, and integrating others and having my small community of Brazilians here. And I ended up being a German teacher and specializing in this. And now I feel like this is also who I am. It is not something apart from the lady that will be here talking with you in this podcast. This is also what I do and who I am, and a part of my passions and languages. But I feel like for especially an episode where I'm talking for 40 minutes, where I write scripts, especially for a podcast, I needed like a direction also for you to know and for me to know like which languages are this podcast gonna be, what to expect. And I felt a lot of pressure in myself to make, for example, 2 times more or 3 times more episodes, to be able to make them in German and also in Portuguese and also in English. So I'm deciding English because I do feel like this is for my public, like the one that I need to reach and the one that is here to be with me for this next phase and this next era, because I'm not making this for my family in Brazil. I'm not making this for my family here in Germany. And I do feel like if you are an immigrant like me, if you are an artist that wanna move your country, or just you are creative as well, this is the language that can be the most accessible for me and for you as well. It is the language that I put the less pressure in myself as well, because Portuguese, I ended up forgetting the words already because I don't live in Brazil for 3 years and I'm like not using this as much as I used to. So I do forget a lot of words already. And German is a language that I associate a lot with pressure because I am a teacher. I need to speak this correctly. And when I am talking German, I am in my teacher role and I don't want this here. Here I'm the Aline podcaster. I'm not a teacher here, especially not a German teacher. So I guess English is the best for me to speak incorrectly, and give a shit, basically. Like a lot of you that are here know English better than I do. I know it. But a lot of you are like me, like you don't really know English as well. And you get it. If I say something wrong, you're still understanding what I'm saying. So it feels like the language with less pressure and the most accessibility for everyone to be here and understand what I'm saying, basically. The next thing that is gonna change is the topics. Like I was always struggling, like what am I gonna say? I wanna talk about so many things. I have so many interests. There are so many languages. If I change the language, I change the public, and then I also change the topics that I can talk about. It was an immense work always to come up with one idea and be able to manage and make this episode happen. So I feel like I have found, and it was pretty obvious, but it took me time, and the topic is gonna change, and we are gonna cover more art and creativity. Like, this is already so big, but before I was talking about culture and talking about languages and much more personal stuff, and I feel like very unsafe now sharing all my personal stuff on the internet. So I'm not gonna share so much more personal things. I'm gonna delete some old ones, and I'm gonna start again with the focus on creativity and art and creative process. And there's so much that you can also leave me in the comments, so I know like what are your interests, what are you doing creatively, what we can talk, and basically needing to be this voice for myself, someone that makes me feel like I'm gonna listen to this episode now because I wanna feel inspired, I wanna create something, and I wanna know that it is all part of the process, even when I doubt myself, or what does confidence has to do with making art, or what about taboos, what about everything. So I feel like there is an episode coming, for example, that talks about destruction in art, but the text is already in my blog if you want to read it and know already what is coming. I feel like a lot of my past episodes already had this vibe, but we are gonna focus even more in these topics. And the final change is probably like the name. If you don't know like from where Eu Acho comes, you are not alone. And Eu Acho is basically the name in Portuguese, because I started this podcast in Portuguese. There was only episodes in Portuguese. Like I had no idea that I wanted to make this someday in another language. And Eu Acho seemed pretty clever because it's like my name, Aline Xavier de Oliveira, so Acho, and this sounds like Acho, which is with C and H, which is like I think, I guess. So at the beginning, I just basically wanted to share my opinion. Eu acho, like I think about everything. So now I don't really feel like I want to share my opinions on the internet. I don't really feel like this name represents so much. I feel sad because this name was the first name that came up in my brain, and I love it, and it is part of myself. I literally have a tattoo here with Acho. Like, it's my name, is who I am. But it doesn't need to be what this project and this podcast is about. And this is great because I'm like also separating myself from my projects and realizing that they can exist outside of myself, sort of. So I am thinking about some other names. I'm gonna read some here for you, and I want you to let me know in the comments on Spotify or on YouTube, whatever you're listening, which one you like the most. I don't really have a name decided, and I'm still thinking, and I'm just like, should I do this episode about this when I don't really know? But I feel like I do. I feel like if I'm here to talk about the creative process, I have to make this episode, because this is like the beginning. Like, this is what happens in the creative brain before anything happens, before anything is created. We have destruction. Like, I am trying, experimenting for years, and then I'm finding out whatever I want to make, and then I'm destroying, like letting go, deleting, like reformulating and renovating, and then a new stuff is created, and now I'm creating. So I have a new name, and giving names is such an important thing. I don't know if I love those names yet, but I like all of them because they have everything to do with creative, artist, life, and a personal touch, like a diary, like a digital diary, like a podcast, like a diary, but in audios. So those are the names. Number 1, Diaries of an Artist. And then I probably will put my name on the title, like with Aline Xavier. 2nd, Diary of an Artist with Aline. 3rd, The Unscripted Life of an Artist. Personally, this one is like maybe my favorite until now, because I do feel like life is unscripted and I want to talk about art and creativity, and it is personal, but I feel like diary is very like saturated. Everyone is using diary. I use diary a lot, but it is like a diary, so why not? 4th, The Artist's Brain with Aline. And it feels interesting because it's like reflections and a brain. My husband in the beginning, like 3 years ago, I don't know, he suggested to me like the creative, like he suggested to me like the brain space, brain space. I still hate it, but the brain part is okay. Like space, what the hell? But the brain and then the artist brain with Aline, but I'm not talking about biology or stuff, so that could be confusing. The final name would be The Creative Life, which I think it is like a little bit pretentious, so probably not. And then I would be between Diary of an Artist or The Unscripted Life of an Artist. If you have another suggestion, let me know. I'm not gonna pay you for your ideas, but look at this, you probably would be the creator of my name, of my podcast, so you can let me know. And I will probably do like a poll on Instagram or a poll on Spotify where you can also just vote. But on YouTube, if you're watching and listening this on YouTube, just give me 2 minutes and write in the comments if any of these titles touched your heart. I guess those are titles that would match better with my intention for this project for now on. Probably there will be merge, new ideas, another visual, maybe some other collars. If anything changes, like the colors or anything, is me normally changing everything around. But I don't really think like every time I've changed like the art that I've made, for example, the collars here, it was pretty much about the visual, and now I feel like the essence of this podcast is changing, so the change is bigger and it feels like a reborn. And I am proud of myself for experimenting and just starting a project and just having the courage enough to continue this project and adapt if this is not working. So I'm gonna make it work, and I feel excited for the next episodes where we're gonna talk about universities and my journey and do an actress Q&A and also talk about destruction in art and so much more around creativity and the process. And probably we're gonna do more reviews of books and movies, and I wanted to try more like how can I connect this with my videos on YouTube. So I do this as well as vlogs and artist diaries if you want to watch my videos, and I will be doing this here as well, like to go more in depth in my process, talk about an experience in my casting or a movie that I'm creating or writing, and how do I like memorize, talk about creative habits. Oh my god, I have like so many ideas, and it feels right because it is not anymore like a stress to come up with a topic. It's like my life is what I'm doing basically, so I don't really have to, I don't know, lose a lot of energy in this project anymore. It feels like giving me energy and align with my lifestyle and everything that I want for myself from now on. Probably we're gonna build a nice community here of artists. There are immigrants, there are in love with culture and languages and movies and series and books. I don't know, I am excited for having a community of we all here. So I do believe a podcast is a nice way to build a nice community, to go in depth in these topics and have real nice conversations. I do crave them in my life. And as an introvert, I find the space pretty special to still keep a touch with people, basically. So yeah. Thank you for listening, and thank you for accepting changes in my life, in this project, but also in your life. If you're also going through changes, we are always going through them, so there's no point in avoiding them. And I do feel like inspired. I hope this episode inspired you as well. I'm gonna see you very soon, and if not, it is because I'm taking a little break because I'm making a course of filmmaking in English here in Berlin, which is gonna be a month long, and I am planning on making my projects like my YouTube, my podcast, but you never know. Probably this is gonna suck a lot of energy and then I can't keep. So if there is a gap, you know that I'm busy, but I'm gonna come back. And until then, you can check my website, you can check my portfolio if you wanna work with me, if you're also creative. I'm an actress, but also a filmmaker, also podcaster, voice actress. I make music, I write, so you can reach out. There is a forms in my website, so you can also, I don't know, send me an email or even send me a DM and we can create something together. And if you also want to, there is the Etsy shop of my husband and you can also give it a look, and if you like something you can shop. And there is also a link in the description for our gear, so you probably saw anything here in my desk setup or my gear in general, my camera, my mic. And if you want, I have videos about it, and I also have a link in the description for you to buy like affiliate links, and this helps a lot, like a lot. Oh, okay, one last final thing. Languages. I am open for talking still Portuguese clearly in my episodes, or German, or any other language. So there could be like some episodes in other languages if you want me to, if I feel like I want to, but mostly English will be the principal language. And if sometimes I speak like a random German or a random Portuguese, or if you don't really know what I said, probably I say this in another language, so that's why it was weird. So yeah, in case you were like wondering what is gonna happen with a multilingual polyglot podcast, I'm still a polyglot. So if you want me to make an episode in another language, always just write in the comments. Please do in a version of Italian. Try this in a version of German. So I will consider, but principle will be in English. So this is more accessible and easy to me. And I feel like I have told everything I wanted to say about the new podcast era and changes. I hope you like them. I hope you accept them and improve them, and let me know which new name you would give for this podcast. And if you have any questions, suggestion of future episodes, leave me in the description. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. I like you. And I believe you are a nice human being if you're here until now. So have a nice day, and I will see you soon. Bye. Or you will hear me and see me. I won't see you. Never. Bye.